are Chris Lee, Blaine Gilmer, and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here to preview Ole Miss's trip to Texas A&M. Both teams coming off very disappointing losses in different ways. The Aggies are, 3-point underdogs in their own building. And over under 59.5 here, guys. 7:30 kickoff Eastern on the SEC Network. We'll call this the Blaine Bowl. Blaine, you did not make either fan base happy last week, but who gets the last laugh there?
Listen, I don't know which is worse in terms of the performances, because I don't know if I would rather just get absolutely just skull dragged like Ole Miss did in the second half against LSU, or if I would want to lose a heartbreaker like Texas A&M did over there. But clearly, I think Ole Miss was reaping the benefits of a very light schedule early on, and they had a very raucous environment that, hey, I thought I was going to have to eat some crow early on in that game. They jumped out to a great start, but then, the defense couldn't hold up, and Texas A&M just has a litany of issues right now, culture and leadership appearing to be the number one, Blake. So you got two teams that are a little bit down this week coming into this one.
Yes, you do. I think one team a little more down than the other, based on overall performance this season, and I think that's going to make for an interesting setup here. Like you said, it's two teams coming off of just losses that they didn't want to have. Certainly, the way the way Ole Miss lost LSU, and then A&M once again coming close, but coming up short. Has kind of, we've seen that in some of their recent games too. So all about who can get their team prepared for this game. And I wouldn't be surprised, as we'll talk about a little bit later, if see a bit of a sluggish start for both in this one.
Well, when Ole Miss has the ball, the Rebels are averaging 38.5 points a game in what's a very balanced attack, 491 yards, 6.7 yards a play. A&M giving up 20.4 points. 354 yards and 5.1 yards per play. Ole Miss, we have seen the Rebels can run it with their quarterback and three good backs that they've got. We've seen Mingo have a huge game, break a school record for receiving yards. The Rebels are more of a running team than a passing team, and they are turnover prone. That's a little problem at times. You've seen Dart make some bad decisions, but Ole Miss is a team that can really make you pay whichever avenue they decide to go on the ground or through the airplane.
Oh, no doubt. I will say that I'll give Ole Miss a little bit more of a pass than I will Texas A&M, especially since Zach Evans was out last game due to a knee injury. They said he could have played in emergency type deal, but I think that was a big downer for them. If they get him back in this one, I think Vegas is well. Is looking at this one the right way, putting Ole Miss as a 3-point favorite on the road. I do think the offense is at times it can just be overwhelming, Chris, in terms of like the pace that these guys play at, and just absolutely, catch you off balance, much like Tennessee does at times. So I think that three-headed monster, like you said, in the backfield will get things going in College Station. I look for Jaxson Dart, Zach Evans, and Quinshaw Judkins to have a big day bouncing back. And it's not like this Texas A&M defense, who supposedly coming into the year was the defensive front, even though young in certain places, was supposed to be really the kind of the backbone, and they had some talented players in the secondary, experienced players, but has bent a lot more than I think people thought to this point in the year, Blake.
Yeah, I mean, we're 113th nationally, 189.8 yards per game on the ground. So that's defensively for A&M. And on the flip side of that, Ole Miss is the top 3 rushing offense. So when you combine those two together, you really like Ole Miss's chances here, I think, to be able to go back to their strength and run the ball. I mean, we said it. Ole Miss just got Jaden Daniels in Baton Rouge, and I think also one of the things, and I'll give this one too, because I said I thought Jaxson Dart was playing better at times in terms of just being more comfortable in their offense, but he did make some of those throws in that LSU game that were, to say the least, not good throws. And I think that's something you want to see here in this one is, can they get back on track with that? We talk about, I think every game, if they're going to get a passing game going, Mingo has to be involved. And I think just, continuing to give him that opportunity would be big there. So you said it, Blaine. I think this A&M defense, we talked about a lot coming into the season, but if you actually look at the results, I think especially on the ground here, it's not that, they're pretty good in terms of they're not giving up a ton of points, but I think when you talk about what is one of those areas clearly statistically that Ole Miss could take advantage of, it just happens to be, I think, their ability to run the ball, and that's what they do best. So,
okay, before we flip sides of the ball here, we've got some big games coming up this week in the SEC to add some excitement. We at Southeastern 14 are making some predictions in the Stakes app. Our handle is at Southeastern 14. We will put those in the app later in the week. We want to hear from you guys if you agree or disagree with those. So go to playwithstakes.com/14. That is STAKES. Sign up for Stakes. Place your predictions on our questions. If you use the invite code Southeastern 14 when you sign up, you'll get a double welcome bonus. Free to join, free to play, free to make fun of us when we get stuff wrong. Go to Stakes today. Check it out, have some fun, and support our title sponsor. Okay, gentlemen, when A&M's got the ball, boy, it's not been pretty. 21.9 points a game, 342 yards per game. That is next lowest in total offense, lowest mark in the SEC in scoring offense. 5.6 yards per snap. Ole Miss's defense has been pretty good, but we have thought that might be a product, or we were waiting to see if that was a product of the schedule. It's starting to look like it was. Ole Miss giving up 20.8 points and 365 yards a game, but only 5.1 yards per snap. But man, guys, I don't know that I trust A&M to score much on anybody. And then do we even know what the quarterback situation is going into this one, Blaine?
No, you don't know what the quarterback situation is, but when A&M has the football, no, sorry, I fell asleep there for a second. Like it's just, it's a snooze fest. We got to get some updated, 20th century type of 21st century, excuse me, because I think it needs to upgrade from the 19th century with Jimbo, how things are going. But man, got to get some modernized style of offense going here. That West Coast dink and dunk type deal is just not getting it done for him. But if there is good news out there, it's that Ole Miss's defense is awful. And we told you this coming into that they could not stop the run. Like they may have looked good against inferior competition earlier year, but we told you coming in to the LSU game, they cannot stop the run. So if there's one person that should be happy, Devon Achane, if he's healthy, fully ready to go, he should have a big day here, because I just don't know if Ole Miss is going to be able to tackle well enough and do things like that. If they can get some decent quarterback play, it may be that they're able to put some points up against Ole Miss. So we've got a struggling offense versus a struggling defense. Blake, we scoffed early at the beginning when we first looked at this, man, 59.5, but now I might be talking myself into there being more points scored than I originally thought in this one.
Well, I'm not. It's because one thing we do know for certain is that Jimbo's still calling the plays, and I don't have a lot of confidence in that based on recent results. And so I don't know. I mean, again, I don't even need to go into this too much. Like, we've talked about the A&M offense and, what our expectations were going to be of them after they lost Smith for the season. We said, all right, things get a little more challenging. Muhammad's there and quarterback situation, but it's just, we know Achane, I think, is still he's still the strength of their offense. And it's just, can they get the ball to him enough? And does the game script work in their favor enough to get him involved? I just think otherwise, like, I just don't have a lot of confidence in what they're going to be able to do right now, even against this Ole Miss defense. I know, as we've said, over the past several weeks. I mean, we've seen some of those gaps in the Ole Miss defense, and we talked about, it was kind of mentioned, product of the schedule, right? Is that something? Well, I don't think the schedule's getting any tougher here, because this is one where you're going up against an offense that I just don't have a lot of confidence in right now. So, yeah, I mean, I get it on both sides, but I still just look at kind of the way. Maybe it just goes back to Jimbo calling the plays, and I think that's just something where I just don't have a lot of sense that even the creativity of the A&M offense, if they're going to be able to challenge this Ole Miss defense.
Chris, we're becoming a YouTube conglomerate here with our analysis when you hear the words game script thrown into it. So I like that analysis by Blake here. When you hear game script, official YouTube football analysis deal we're in. So,
well, some other things before we end up here. We like to be thorough. Turnover margin, Ole Miss +2, A&M +1. Penalties, Ole Miss 61 yards a game, A&M 51. Special teams, A&M has got one of the better units in the country. A&M ranked number 7 in FEI's special teams rankings. That does not include the South Carolina game. The Aggies gave up a kickoff return touchdown, so I would presume A&M will drop in that a little bit. Ole Miss was 53 heading into LSU game. FEI always takes a few days to update, so that's the latest we've got as we do this on Sunday night. But Blake, anything else you see? You're always the guy on top of trends and stuff like that. So before we make our picks, what have you got?
Well, I know Blaine said he was starting to get more intrigued by the over here. I'm not. I am all in on the under on this one, because the last 7 games between these two teams via covers, the under is hit all 7 times when these two teams play. So I think that's an interesting thing to think about. I think, Ole Miss has kind of been another team where in the unders, by the way, 4-0 in Texas A&M last 4 home games, which I think makes sense too. When you look at it, under also has been a positive trend for Ole Miss when you look at kind of their previous stats overall there. So that seems to be the best play here, is looking at, when I saw that number where it was, guys, I just think that's way too high. But you guys have mentioned the defenses, and we said it. I mean, we talked about the stats, right? There are some openings if you want to be a good offensive team in this game, because there are some weaknesses on each side on the defensive side of the ball. So all that said, I think I'm picking Ole Miss. I know it didn't work out last week, but I just think this is a different type of game here. And you know what, Blaine, I'll go back to this one too. You guys had the discussion last week of who are you more confident in at the head coaching position to get your team up for a game in this setup coming off of 2 disappointing losses. Is it Lane Kiffin or is it Jimbo Fisher? I'm going to go with Lane Kiffin. I'm going to take Ole Miss to win this one. And I'll take the under as the more confident play of the two.
Absolutely. Well, going into it with these two teams, I didn't believe in really either one of them last week. I picked South Carolina, picked LSU, but hey, somebody's got to win this football game, right? And I think that Lane Kiffin, the Lane train, I'm all aboard it this week, all aboard the Lane train, because I think that defense is actually – I think they just forgot to pack the defense on their trip to LSU. I think they'll decide to put it in the suitcase this time and bring it down a little bit. Now, I think Texas A&M, whichever quarterback, Devon Achane, they're going to get their yards. They're gonna score more points, I think, than people think. But give me Ole Miss to win, Ole Miss to cover in this game. I like you said, I think Lane Kiffin and company will just out scheme Jimbo Fisher's team in this one.
I also like Ole Miss to win. I also like Ole Miss to cover. And the way that I look at over-unders, the predicted final in this, given the over-under and the spread, is 31-28 A&M. Frankly, 31-28 Ole Miss. I don't know how A&M gets to 28 points. And frankly, given A&M's defense, Ole Miss may be under that number too. So I really like the under in this one. Anyway, we are picking every single SEC game this week and for the season. Best way to catch all those, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon at Southeastern 14.